Hi, everybody. Welcome to Square It Up. I'm Bill Swinford.
And I'm Monica Daniels.
And I'm Tom Mann over here in the corner once again.
Focusing on Marion's downtown, but of course, we try to tell you all the best things happening in Southern Illinois. And all the happenings in our lives right now have to do with
our wedding day.
Our wedding
will
day.
Be here soon.
Yeah, and we have we had a slower week this week. You can probably hear my voice. I've had a cold. Mm-hmm. Look, I don't know if I can hear it in your voice. But
I can feel it. I don't know. I've been coughing a lot as well, so we've been a little bit under the weather this week.
Mm-hmm. So I'm not sure
Hopefully
that
we can get it out of the way before the wedding.
we haven't knocked. I hope so too. I'm really grateful that we are getting it out of the way.
Yeah.
But we haven't knocked off that many things on our to-do list. Although you've done more with your dress.
Yeah, I think we're further along than it feels
We
like.
were.
There's a few things that we need
I feel like we're in good shape.
a few details we need to button up. And
I sat down last
good to
night
go.
and typed a little email to our pastors. We're going back and forth working on the service. There are just so many things to think about. Our cake lady, we're trying to pick out a cake now.
Yeah.
It's nice that they have a place to self-promote all of this. Just want you to know that.
I've been given such a hard time by my friends about how I'm marketing this wedding. But listen, the biggest reason is we really want people to come. We really want anybody that wants to be there, obviously. So yes, we have had some invitations go out to some people that we weren't confident they were hearing about it in the ways we tend to communicate, which is social media.
Social media, yeah.
But listen, we'd love anybody that wants to be there to come. And sounds like a lot of them are coming. So
Yeah.
look forward to that.
So
we were commenting a minute ago before we went on. By the way, we do have a special guest today, and that's Ken Anderson from WBVN. And I'm so glad. I've been wanting to do this for a while, and so I'm so glad Ken is joining us here in the Man Cave. We'll bring him up in a second. But more importantly, we got something to discuss, and that is the fact that I feel like I might be losing my hair. For the first time in my life, I find my hair thinning.
yeah, and you think,
My hair's always been very thick.
and the story is that we get our balding gene through our mother. That men get their balding gene.
Yes.
So was your
My mother is not bald.
no? But what about the men in our family?
But my grandfather, my granddaddy Eads,
Yeah.
my mom's dad, went bald in his 20s.
Oh wow.
So I never knew my granddad with hair.
That
I mean,
is
he
so
had
young.
some stuff, but it was like always kept really short.
Yeah.
I don't remember him with any hair on top of his head.
Yeah.
And he's a good-looking guy. He looked good that way.
Right.
But and so that because of the science that you spout, my dad would say the same thing. He'd say, "Hey, your hair's thick now, but wait till you get in your 20s, your hair's going to go away because your granddad is bald." And now my granddad Swinford had probably very similar hair to mine, and my dad kept his hair. So I'm not sure. I've really kept my hair for a while. And
I have the same thing. My mom's side of the family, my grandfather, I never knew him with hair. And then all of my uncles, except for one, they were bald. And then on that side of the family, and every one of my cousins were bald. And I can remember, I guess this was in the 90s, I went to visit them, and there was a tree out in the front yard, and 3 of my male cousins were standing out there looking at the tree because all the leaves had fallen off. And they were leaning back like this, and they all had bald heads. And I walked up behind them. I said, "This is really sad." And they said, "I know. We've had this tree for a long time." I said, "No, the 3 of you, you're just bald as that tree is." And I remember that because
metaphorical.
they looked at me and they said, "Well, you and your brother are next." But we haven't lost totally our hair. Mine's
there
thin.
you
My
go.
dad has thinned hair, but he never lost his hair even at 93.
Yeah. So there,
I don't know.
It's not an exact.
But supposedly
Science.
that's true, though.
Yeah, it's not an exact thing, obviously.
Yes.
And really, I got nothing to complain about. But right up through in here, I could see my scalp for the first
But
time.
you're about to get married, so that may accelerate the process. You never know. That's what I've been told.
Yeah, it's my fault. Just blame it
If
on
it starts coming out in
blame
clumps,
it
we
on
know.
the wife, the old ball and chain.
All right, if you say so.
We'll have to start working on that hair and get it to grow.
I actually.
What was that transplant thing you were talking about?
No.
No, I was talking a little bit about microneedling.
Microneedling.
There are some people, some spas that say that microneedling helps to regrow hair, helps to stimulate hair growth.
Maybe you should.
So I don't.
You should do it
I'm
right
not a
here,
doctor, so
right
I
here in the
can't.
center of your head, right here, and experiment with it and see if
Well,
it just
I
grows.
definitely, yeah, I've got that scar.
See if hair grows right
No,
here.
I'm talking about on Bill.
That's a
Just
good
put it
idea.
here. If
That's a
there's a
good idea.
ponytail that grows out the front, we know
That's
it
a good
works.
idea.
Yeah.
I think I'm just going to end up being one of these guys that have the beard and less hair, and I'm okay with that. I think that's a good look.
So your beard's coming in stronger than ever.
Yes, no, that's true. It took me decades to even be able to grow a beard. Now I have a decent beard, and the hair's going away, and that's just the way it goes.
Well, I had some hair readjusting too on my face when I always had
On your face.
I always had really thick eyebrows all growing up. They were so thick.
Oh.
They had their own personality, right? And finally, I start getting older, and I go to pluck an eyebrow, and then like a third of my eyebrow disappears. But then I notice hair's popping up on my lip. So I think my eyebrow hair is relocating to
So
my
what's going to
lip.
happen is Bill's going to lose
my
all
lip.
hair in his head. You're going to grow a mustache. That's how it'll work.
It's the reason I keep tuning in every week here on Squared Up. See where this goes from here.
Aging is not for the
It may not ever get any
aging
better.
is not for the faint of heart. It is not.
It may just be all
It's
downhill
not for
from
the
here.
vain. Let's just say that.
That's all right. That's all right. We'll be okay. Hey, listen, I want to make sure we have enough time to talk to Ken, so we're going to go ahead and bring him on.
And one thing about Ken, I'll say he has no problems with hair.
No, you'll notice when Ken comes on, he's in good shape.
Full head of hair.
He's
Yeah.
in good shape. He and I are in the white hair club together.
Okay.
But
I'm starting to be in the White Hairs Club.
I haven't seen him, but
I have a few.
we'll have to spend time on that next
They just
episode.
blend in with my blonde.
All
so-
right. That's good. That's nice. And here's the other thing. Tom knows Ken from having worked with him for a long time. So Tom's going to have a lot of insight into this interview. So our guest today is Ken Anderson of WBVN Radio. WBVN Studios located right off of the square. And so he's downtown with us and gotten to see the way that the square is developed along with us and many others that are there. And so we wanted to talk to him about his Christian radio station, and how he decided to get into this business and how it's going now. And it's great that he can join us. And so now Ken's joined us. Hi, Ken. Thanks for being here.
Well, I'm glad to be here. It's nice. I've watched your media business for a long time, and we're in media, you're in media,
That's right.
and you guys have done a terrific job.
Well, thank you very much.
That's something I've been very impressed with. I think I ran into you at the post office the other
Yeah.
day and mentioned to you how impressed I was with how you've expanded that and grown that and professionally done something very unique. Being in media for me has been wonderful because you get to serve people. And I think the thing that's unique about what you guys do is you serve a community of people. We serve a community of people. And that is very fulfilling to be able to do, I think. I've teased people over the years. It's almost addictive. Once you start it, you don't want to quit it.
Well, and you find that your audience is loyal. Your audience sticks with you. Your audience comes to very much rely on you. And we kind of have the same thing going on with our audience for the things that we do. And I think that's because you and I are both people that understand the importance of a personal connection. It's not just putting content out to people. It's the connection that you want people to be able to make, not just to the content, but to the people, behind the scenes, the people that are there doing the work. Because it's a heart business for me. I know it's a heart business for you. You got WBVN is how old now? How many years now?
35 years.
Okay, so previous to WBVN, and then we'll talk about how we got into it. Were you in media? Was there any thought of being in media back
I
then?
wasn't really in media per se. We every 5 years I switched careers for ever since I came out of the military back in 1970s. Switched careers because I could never get to that place that I felt like was home,
Right.
and did all kinds of things. We've managed a couple of businesses. We owned a couple of businesses. And we just got to the place that all of a sudden I'm in a spot that I've been there for 35 years. Now that tells you there's something different about what I did for 20 and another 35 on top of that. So it's been interesting to experience that. And I used to tell people that we were associated with the message that we bring more than we're associated with the radio that we use. we use radio as our tool, but we're really interested more in maybe the message that it contains, and it's just like this microphone. It's the way we get to communicate with people in a very unique way, especially for someone who was not in radio as a previous occupation.
And I know that 35 years ago I was, I was still in my 20s, and just had gotten into the youth ministry actually at that time.
Yes.
So I remember how great it was to find out that there was a contemporary Christian music station that was starting up, and knowing that we had some good gospel music stations in the area that had done good work. But when you're in the youth ministry, you are not only interested in introducing your kids to something more contemporary and something more of their era and the music that they like, but you also want to take them to concerts. You want to introduce them to the people behind it, and I was very excited. So it was great timing for me. I think one of the let's before we get into talking about any concerts or any artists, let's talk about what pulled you into doing that work. You talk about the message and wanting to participate in that. Did it just kind of come to you? Well, there's a niche here, there's a need here, and maybe we can fill it. And then of course you had the other decision about how to operate it as a business, and the decision that you've made to go strictly listener supported. How'd you get there?
Well, I that's an interesting question, because sometimes I don't remember how this ever happened, because it's been bigger than we anticipated at some level. And we started out with just really, someone came to me and made a suggestion and said, man, I know how much you love contemporary Christian music, or some of the things that are going on at that particular time in the Christian community. And did you know that there's a frequency that's going to be opening up? And have you ever thought about going into Christian radio? And at that time, here again, Bill, I'll be honest with you, we had $5,300 in the bank. How do you go do that?
Right.
So there's some edge of the unbelievable happening about it. We didn't really know exactly all we were doing. When we first started, I used to run from my office back to the studios, and I'd ask, who's that? Who's that? What artist is that? When was that song released? Because I wasn't that familiar with what we were doing in terms of the specifics. I was only interested in the fact that there was a community of believers there, like yourself with a youth group, and we wanted to do something that translated that message in a contemporary fashion. In other words, I could hear it much differently than I had heard it as a child growing up in our particular church. We heard music for the first time that spoke to us in a very particular way that caused us to be inspired, to be encouraged, to be even more involved. We saw the value in doing that for young people. We started out the radio station. We had a youth group come and paint our tower. And it was laying on the ground at that time. It wasn't up in the air. But we had a youth group come and do that. And, we got involved with people in the area that were super excited about bringing that into the community.
Did you have people from the radio world that, were instrumental in helping make this happen for you? In other words, people that had that background, that even if it's in engineering or just the nuts and bolts of radio.
The truth is, when I say that I wasn't in radio, the truth is I worked 1 year in radio.
Okay.
And that year, I had been hired to manage the personnel, not the broadcast.
Right.
I managed the staff at that radio station. And so that was where the conversation came from, when someone came up to me and said, hey, you're working at the radio station. Have you ever thought about doing a Christian radio station? And I said, no, absolutely not. I don't have the money. I don't have the expertise. I don't have anything that it would take to do that. But we also have to remember that things, the way I used to describe it is, things that that became BVN came up from the backside of me, is the way I used to say it. It wasn't me imagining anything or me having a goal for anything to be accomplished. Things were happening back here that kept pushing rather than me running.
Right.
And the things that I thought, I used to tease, I'm like Jonah, not going to go to Nineveh, not interested in that. And that was my first reaction to it.
But it wouldn't leave you alone.
I hoped somebody else would.
Yeah.
And it didn't leave me alone because things just started occurring. I had someone come up to me and hand me a check and say, I want you to do with this whatever you want to do with this. This was at the exact same time that someone approached me about doing the radio station. And then the next thing you know, I'm meeting someone that knows an attorney that is an FCC attorney. And, all those things were happening back here rather than me looking for those people at all. I was not. But it occurred to us, and
you got to mention Jane, your wife. She was key in all of this the whole way.
Well, I think
she let a lot of things happen to get it done.
I think that was there again. We use the word miracle so often, and I don't want to overemphasize that in the sense that this thing happened that could never have happened. But what I will emphasize is things were happening that we never expected to happen. We never planned anything. We never went for anything. We just found ourselves in the middle of things that caused us to take notice. I think the way that I used to say it was, the first thing that we did that happened to cause this to occur, in my opinion, is we trusted first. We didn't know where we were going. We didn't know how we were going to do it. We only knew that we were willing to follow that trust, knowing who we believe in and how his character is to want to be
So it's just
with
a
us.
stepping out of the boat kind of
It
a
is.
situation.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah, we didn't have, the other thing I'll say, Bill, is we did that in 1990. Well, we started in 1988. There were a couple of national ministries that had huge failures publicly
Yes, that's
in the
right.
whole nation. Every one of my friends said, don't do this. And, I think they gave me some pretty good advice, but they didn't give me the thing that was going on in my heart,
Right.
which is, man, these things are happening to us. We need to pay attention to this. Jane, the role that Tom's talking about Jane playing was, it would never have happened if she had been guarding her life by holding on to my career. I was in management. We owned a business, and
Right.
we did the things that were very stable,
Reasonable.
reasonable things to do.
That's a good way to put it.
But
reasonable.
for some reason, we're out here on this limb that she came along and permitted me to do that. We had 3 children at the time, and I guess that's the same thing as faith.
Yeah.
You're pastor, so you know what I'm talking about there, where you just, there's something that that's on the inside that it may not be evident on the outside, but you know that there's something going on there.
Yeah.
that,
Oh,
you
how many
respond to.
how many times in life do we have that? And you've talked about so many things that I relate to, such as little experiences that you had with this job or that thing that kind of all you can just kind of see how God was putting all of that together over time. Now, as I think I mentioned, Tom has worked with Ken for a number of years. If you know WBVN, if you listen to WBVN, then you already know that Tom is a voice of WBVN and does great work for them. So Tom knows a lot of these things. I'm curious, Monica, you hearing a lot of this for the first time of somebody taking that step of faith, $5,000 in the bank, and letting go of that stability. And diving into something that he admittedly didn't really know that much about, other than he felt a lot of things kind of showing him that God was going to hold him up in this. How does that strike you? What kind of things do you think about it?
Well, I think that's just an amazing faith move, just to be able to step out like that. And it's a great testimony for other people that are feeling nudges to do things that may not seem logical to them. Of course, I think like those kinds of situations are kind of sensitive. Like they should probably get good counsel from, pastors and different things. But like if you know that God is calling you to it, and you got to step out and do it. And it's a great testimony to encourage people's hearts in trusting the Lord.
The way I used to explain it to people at the time that it was happening is I wasn't reacting to an idea. I wasn't reacting because of something I had thought about, and I thought, as you said, it was a reasonable thing to do or whatever, or not reasonable thing to do.
Right.
I had to really work at it from the point of view of it being an idea that we needed to go accomplish. I've always discouraged people that are, when we talk about faith and trust and follow this message and all that, I'm always very careful to say there's an unction that's an obligation first.
Yeah.
You have to have more than an idea.
Yeah.
You have to have something, you get me crying, something that breaks your heart first.
Yeah.
Something that means something so much to you that you're willing to take a wife and 3 daughters and say, okay, we're gonna give this a shot. Now, it took us 3 years to make budget. So there was nothing on the obvious that said, aren't we so smart that we did that just perfectly? It took 3 years to do that. For 32 years, we've made budget.
And I think the counterintuitive part of this too, like you said, it was during the 80s when a lot of big preachers and televangelists were really just blowing it.
Right.
And the common sense says, oh, you don't want to go there now. It's unstable ground. But really, we have a population of people that is hungry and starving for the authentic. And even in the midst of all of that time, you have people with hearts like you, and I know of other TV ministers who are kind of looking at television as well and kind of wanting to pull away, but the Lord was pushing them into it, saying, no, the people need the authentic. They're hungry for the authentic,
Well, I think that's very, very important. One of the things that was going on in my life was I was looking for integrity. I was looking for a place that it was real and not somebody in trouble. There's always going to be, in fact, CCM has just recently gone through some significant failure. There's always going to be somebody that's abusing it or failing at it or showing you how it doesn't work.
Right.
So, but what we learned,
those darn human beings that are involved in this stuff.
we are broken vessels, and
it's a lot to navigate through. We just know that God's going to do this. He's going to do it all at the end, and we just don't have to worry about it. We just lean into Him. And
well, I do think we just have to keep doing His thing.
Yeah.
And when we have somebody that messes up, where they've had the responsibility to do the thing. That, that's someone that failed. That's someone that messed up. That's someone that didn't take that opportunity. They had to have the integrity of it. They misused it, abused it, whatever occurs in people's lives like that. But that doesn't mean that we throw that away. It doesn't mean that we give up because someone else wasn't able to do that. We've been there 35 years, and I think that as Bill mentioned very early in the conversation today, the thing that has been the most powerful thing has been the relationships that have been developed between our listeners, our concert attendees, the people that come in off the street, and we've just met over 35 years worth of time to where we have developed their confidence and their trust. And when we make a decision to do a concert or to put a program on the air or to let Tom work for us for 21 years, 22 years.
Yeah, 21 now.
21?
21.
We did that because we think that is the thing that we are doing to benefit that community that you and I talked about earlier. We've made a decision along those lines. And so it's precious to us to be able to to make those kind of evaluations. And
that was so much, I think, especially the early days, as you were talking about those first 3 years, and as you were just kind of trying to figure out, okay, what are we doing with this? And as you admitted, you were still learning a lot of the artists that you were playing on the radio, how you were going to rotate their music, who you were going to use as on-air personalities, and helping with that. I'm sure you had a lot of folks coming and wanting to help in some ways, as you've already mentioned. When I first met you, you were operating your studio out of a mobile home lot in a building at a mobile home lot. I thought when I walked in there, hey, this is a pretty cool setup that you had. Now I'm so happy that you found your way downtown to a real building there. But I think about those early days, and it felt like, especially looking back on it, you were trying to figure out programming. Some of the programming you had in the early days was very meaningful to me. I can remember going to a Bill and Annabelle Gillum event here in Marion and participating in that, and that was very meaningful to me. I can remember going to some of those. Who was the first concert that you decided at some point? Well, let's host somebody. Let's have a concert. Who was your first concert?
The first one was Farrell and Farrell.
Farrell and Farrell. Yeah.
And the second one was Greg X. Volz.
Okay,
who was
he left Petra.
He was a Petra lead vocalist.
Yeah.
We did Twyla Paris at that time, and
I believe I was on all three.
The
of those
thing
concerts.
that's important there about doing the concert series that we've done, and we've done 236 of them in 35 years. So
Wow.
we worked at it. But the thing is the reason we could do that is we never anticipated in our whole life that we would find as much sincerity in those artists' hearts, that we would never find people necessarily that, they were show business people. They were there because they could get an applause. But we also, what we did discover is it's better than we anticipated. That those artists, for the most part, their hearts are totally to be a blessing to the people that attend that.
Right.
We discovered, I thought, that they would be really good on the radio, and you'd put them on a concert and they wouldn't be nearly as good. Well, what we've discovered is they're much better in concerts. People don't understand that. They think all that radio stuff is created artificially, let's say. It's got a AI about it. But it really is not, because if you come to the concert, then you see something that you are really... We did a concert with Christy Knuckles one time. And Christy used to be with Watermark, her and her husband, Nathan. That room was totally quiet. You could have heard a pin drop because you could not believe the quality, the sincerity, the real... you were talking about the integrity of the stuff. We have found that to be super, super important. We want to present you with something that has integrity. We're interested.
For instance, you've had Mark Schultz has been 26
times.
26 times, 27, He's been here that many times.
Now, that's a heart share, is the way I would say it. It's not just his music. It's not just his performance. It's not just that he can play the piano well. It's that he shares his heart in a special way that people leave an event like that and they are changed about it. They have a different experience than maybe they'll have anywhere else in all of their experiences. And, we've had Big Daddy in here over 20 times.
Big Daddy Weave,
We've had the Very Merry Christmas Tour
with new song,
20 times with new song.
And then now We Are Messengers. We just had, that's the latest one, and they've been here, is it 10?
10
I think he was talking about being here 10 times.
10 years.
10 years.
So there's obviously something these artists are getting out of this experience. A great station to connect to, great people to connect to. Of course, now, and I was thinking also, I was just doing the math in my head. I was like, oh yeah, you were doing a lot of concerts in the old Marion Cultural and Civic Center before the fire. What a venue you have now to work with. But I also know
we did the last one.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, that's right. Do you remember what concert that was?
Michael O'Brien.
Michael O'Brien. Okay, and then you think about
Aldersgate.
I remember going to Aldersgate long before.
Yes,
I think it was. I was going to Aldersgate at the time.
Jim Sloan was
Oh yeah.
a lifesaver to
Yeah,
us.
being able to host. I
He
remember
opened
seeing New Song there. I'm trying to remember who else I saw there. I remember.
Dennis Jernigan. I saw Dennis Jernigan
We
at.
did Dennis share.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So there you go. I'll tell you one of the best moments I ever had, and I know that you connected early to Rich Mullins, and you brought him in early, and a few times, and I actually don't think the concert was at Aldersgate, but after the concert, we ended up at the ALC, the gym at Aldersgate, and he was there with Beaker and their trucks and their dogs, and they were all there. And I just being able to sit there, I ended up at that. I don't know how I ended up there, but I ended up sitting there talking to him that evening while they were in town. What a meaningful time that was, and Rich Mullins has meant his music has meant so much to me. You talk about an artist in a concert setting, coming out, barefoot, and he would always have a rotating group of what do you call it, ragamuffins that would come at different times. Some, he eventually ended up calling the Ragamuffin Band, but other groups, that young people that would come through, play music for him. Not always necessarily the best musicians in the world, but he would find them. He would coach them up, and that they were eager, and then he'd bring others alongside, and he introduced them to us, and he could really mesmerize a house for a long time with more than just his music. His teaching, everything about him was terrific, and so he's one that's always meant a lot to me. The memories of the Rich Mullins concerts.
And so you're a better person because you had an opportunity to see Rich Mullins.
Exactly.
I mean,
No, that's
I'm
exactly
the same
right.
way.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, I take it a step further. Long after he passed away, I went and spent time with his brother at a retreat, and just got a great experience out of that. It just became but I did not know Rich Mullins, and I grew up in the same brotherhood of churches that he did, but I'd never been introduced to his music until WBVN came along, and it was incredibly meaningful to me.
Prior to learning that there was a Rich Mullins, or there was a Stephen Curtis Chapman, or there was a Petra, or whatever, all I knew was Gordon Lightfoot, James Taylor, and John Denver.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
and a
It was
guy
great.
named,
It was great to find out that there were musicians
yeah,
that could touch your soul
you
in just the same
never
way.
imagined.
Yeah.
My brother-in-law gave me a Rich Mullins cassette, and it's the first CCM thing I ever had in my whole life.
Mm-hmm.
And he gave me that, and he said, if you like those guys, you're going to like this
Yeah,
guy.
yeah. No, that's
And that's the first piece of contemporary Christian music that I experienced.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think that I used to listen in my pickup truck. I would drive around, pick up tickets around to Carmine, to Mount Vernon, to Carbondale, back to Marion, and do that. And it was that Rich Mullins cassette that I played a lot and learned a lot from his music.
Yeah.
Sometimes 4 minutes can say a whole bunch.
Yeah, and you just dive into those lyrics and the depth of it all, and the storytelling that he had. I mean, it was just terrific. Keith Green, another one who I still will tune into WBVN and hear a Keith Green song, or obviously a Rich Mullins song. I love that was long
passed
before.
Oh, before.
Yeah.
That was Keith Green passed away probably almost.
Is that 82, 83?
83.
83.
Yeah, 7 years.
And of course, you're familiar with Jerry.
Yeah, yeah,
Jerry was a minister for Keith Green.
yeah, yeah.
And
Oh, and there's just those kind of connections.
Keith was in Carbondale, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I missed. I was in high school.
Yeah.
When he was there in 82, I think maybe 81, 82. I was in high school, and I missed that concert. I think my brother went, but I always regretted missing that concert. But
We've had so many. In fact, BVN's had so many concerts and artists. There are many that got their start. We Were Messengers, Darren Mulligan, really kind of got his start because of a concert, and because
he didn't even have an album.
And
he
then
didn't have anything.
He didn't have
have a
anything.
recording contract. He didn't have anything. I just had a friend of mine down in Nashville said, I called and said, do you know anyone that we could get to open for a particular artist? And they said, well, we don't have anybody. There's an Irish guy here. He doesn't have a recording contract. If you want to try him, he'll come up and do it. And I said, well, if he's Irish, he's enough. We'll try it. So I thought it'd be fun to hear him talk and not only sing.
And we had the early days, for instance, even the early days of For King and Country.
Had him a couple of times before they had caught on.
Francesca Battistelli's another good example of that as well.
Yeah.
And that's since I've been there. And there's so many other artists that you would get them in, and then 2 years later, it's like, everybody's like, wow, did you hear that? No, we had them here 2 years ago. And when they were nobodies, and it's funny, they just began, or they had maybe one song out, and it's been kind of a unique opportunity. They've been here. And then we've had huge artists that have come just on and off. We had the Matthew West, we have all these other ones, and Mac Powell, Third Day, all these other ones that have been there too, and so many. And then I think, one other thing I want to share, that one thing that BVN does, Ken doesn't like to toot his horn at all, but one thing, the concerts, people wonder, they're not money makers for BVN. They're really gifts to the community. And as Ken will often say, we just try to roll enough money to get another concert in. And so we try to keep the ticket prices down for most people. And it's part of what we do, because I think Ken says your favorite thing is to lose money. Is that how that works? Which is...
Well, it's not as innocent as Tom puts it, although it's pretty innocent. But the truth is being a not-for-profit, what's my job?
Right,
not to make a profit.
Yeah.
And so your benefit is I get to sell you a ticket that I don't have to make a profit on.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, I won't say that we haven't made on one and we haven't lost on another, because we look at it exactly like that. Like if I do too much over here, then I need to do something over here. And so that causes us to have a variety of artists in. Not just one kind, but many kinds. For King and Country, it's not exactly like Rich Mullins. It's a different process, different product, and I just think that that's caused us to be able to be free, being a not-for-profit. It's caused us to be able to be so free to be able to just move that concert series around all over the place. And someone asked me the other day, they said, well, who's your favorite artist? And it's impossible, because there are hundreds of people that have made a difference in our lives by being in this community. And there's, if you say, well, who's your favorite that does this? Then I'll say, well, this one. Or who's your favorite that does that? It might be someone else. But the value of having 236 concerts is that we've had people come in and share the gospel in a way that no one else has shared it with them. But we are preparing people so you can minister to them on Sunday.
There you go. Yeah.
That's what we're interested in.
Yeah.
And because we're not going to be able to do the hands-on.
Right.
We're not going to be able to do the personal so much. But if we can keep those people interested in that gospel from this Sunday to that Sunday, and you pick them up Sunday.
Well, yeah.
That's important to us.
And I will tell you the number of not just young people, but even older people that I have through the years been in ministry with and ministering to, that have come to know the Lord and have come to want to be discipled, and we get them into some form of discipleship. So much of discipleship, there's some intentional things that you can do, but so much of the most effective types of discipleship, as we know, are just friend to friend, person to person, and somebody, and it's not always been me, somebody might have connected them to a certain song or a certain artist, or taken them to a concert, or turned them on to WBVN, and helped them to find that there's something that they can just click on. There's something that they can go to. There's something that is there that is feeding them. That is especially at a point when they're just so hungry, and they are learning. And we take for granted, I think, so much of the messaging that we do in ministry, because Scripture and other things. Scripture is alive. God's word is alive. It's going to be effective and do new things all the time, even if it's a story that I've told 1,000 times. And we take those for granted. And yet some people are always hearing that story, that message, that truth and connecting to God that way for the first time, and to do that through the power of music, to do that through the power of, or you have other content, other programming on WBVN that can do that for them as well, or just meeting somebody, or just going to a concert and meeting somebody, and understanding the ministry and understanding the things, the support system that they have. It's very encouraging to so many people, and I've heard that so many times. It's kind of like almost been accidental that they find their way to you and to what WBVN can do for them. I know God's working. I know God works in ways that we don't always see, but it's terrific to see how that happens. We have a great children's ministry out of Pleasant Grove Church, the little church that I've been pastoring. I didn't realize how many of these children knew so many of these artists and wanted to go to some of these concerts. And it's beautiful to see, because these kids literally a year ago weren't coming to church at all, and their families still don't come. So it's beautiful.
I need to interject something in here, because part of how I got to BVN, and this to tell a little bit of the heart of BVN, because Ken explained it to me. When I was trying to go to work there and begging Ken to hire me, one of the first things Ken said to me very clearly, he said, "You don't want to work here. Why do you want to work here? This isn't a real radio station. You don't want to work here." And part of it was because I had been in media, but part of it was, he said, "This isn't about us." I remember that. This isn't about us. This is about the message, what we're doing, and all about the ministry. And what's really interesting, I caught the vision of it, which at that point in my life, finally I heard the music and it was touching me. But it really struck me because that's what it was all about. It had nothing to do with any of us working on the air. Had nothing to do with the radio station itself. It's what the purpose was, and he was very clear on that. Like, this is you don't want to be a part of this. You've done radio, you've done all this stuff, Tom. This you won't last very long. I know that's what he was thinking.
Well,
but
radio used to be about who the DJ was.
The personality. Right. It was.
It obviously was locally. Or a WLS.
Yes.
Or a KXOK.
Yeah.
It was always about the DJ and never about what he did. And here, because I was not a radio guy, I didn't want to mimic that. And really, we used to have a what do you call it, slogan or something like that. That
the gift.
The music is the message.
The message.
The message is the music. We were about what was going to be said here, rather than having. Tom doesn't mention his name on air. I don't mention my name on air.
Rarely.
Now people have come to know who we are, but I'm saying that that's not what we're going to do. What we're going to do is do the song, and we're going to do the artist, and we're going to relate them. Our website, you don't relate to Tom Mann's spot there. You link to an artist that week. You can link into the artist off the website. So it is important to back out of it a little bit and realize that if it's going to happen, it's going to happen from what Monica or Bill says to somebody, rather than them being necessarily super persuasive. We're not trying to be super persuasive. What we're trying to do is let that 4-minute song touch somebody's heart. I can, maybe you're all like this, I don't know, but I can sing you a song from 1965.
Right.
Why?
Yeah,
why?
Yeah.
Because it's in there. And we want that message about the gospel to be in there. So that I'm going to be singing Homie Jesus by Rich Mullins 25 years from now, I hope. But it's that kind of thing where that buries down in there. Your message might bury down in there, or what Monica says to somebody as a friend might bury down in there and make a difference in people's lives. And that relationship thing is important. The integrity part of that is important. And we don't have a pattern. We don't have a plan. We just follow it each and every day and see what happens.
Well, you do have some good people, and Tom obviously is a great.
Well, my
fit
staff is key,
and I know you have your daughter Laura. Working with you, and so you have other family in it. Do you foresee this continuing on for years and years to come?
Our desire would be that it would never stop. We simply would want to continue that and cause it to be a permanent situation, the same unction that inspired us to do it inspires us to continue it. It's the same unction. It's no difference from the first day that we hit the button and we were on the air. There's no difference today with me or with Laura to do that. Tom's been there a long time. All the staff is an amazing experience because it, to me, has the same fingerprint on it as the whole radio station has on it. In other words, this is something that we were inspired to do. And those people, Tom Mann, and those people with him that are still there 20 and 15 and whatever years are the same type of fingerprint on it. They were there to do what we've been doing and continue to do. We haven't lost anybody.
And by the way, about a joke about that thing, Laura and I talk about this all the time. Is Dad going to step down? And we're kind of like, no, we're just going to find him asleep in the chair in the other room and let him come in, sleep, and he'll still have his hair. So that'll still be there, but we're just going to let him sit there and, here's a mic, Ken.
and you have through all these years, you've been so consistent. You've not resorted to gimmicks. There had been times you said how many years you've made budget now. How impressive is that? Listener supported all along, and I imagine you would tell me that you've had some folks with you all these many years, consistently being just as consistent, hanging in there with you, and others of us come and go. But how wonderful is it that you took that model and took something that I was praying when I heard about it that this was going to work, and I know you were as well. But it has worked. It has worked so well all these years, and it all does come down to people that encouraged you at the beginning, because it was something that they needed in their lives. People now that need it in their lives that encourage you to keep going, and part of that encouragement obviously comes through the giving that keeps you on the air. It's a great when you think about how the church should operate, and you think about every member ministry and people being able to participate and contribute and make it happen, and yet to do it in a humble, simple, not overhyped, not overcomplicated way, just making sure that it's all about putting the message out, putting the message forth. It's a great example for all of us that are in any kind of ministry.
The first month that we did BVN, we took in $345 donations, and that's for 30 days. That doesn't go very far. Mm-hmm. If you've ever ran the electric bill, you'd know what I mean by that. But that same substance of keeping the radio station going in terms of contributions during the pandemic, we had a number of people that had to not do that.
Right.
They lost their incomes, or they were stressed in various economic ways. We had a family in Carterville that almost picked up every nickel that we subtracted during the pandemic. They made up that whole balance of that. Wow. And then we had a contractor in Johnson City who did the very same thing, that out of nowhere you have support, and you don't know where it's going to come from. You don't know how it's going to be delivered. You don't know what we're good at is not raising cash. We're not good at that. But what we are good at is caring about people and providing them with something that's like Swinford Media, providing them with something that they can use into their lives. And people respond to that, and they're fair back to us. Tom knows we don't have a fleet of anything. We don't have a company van. We don't, we
reuse paper and paper clips. We always give Ken a hard time because we reuse that stuff over and over again.
But we want to be fair to people.
That's right.
It's called stewardship.
That's right.
Yeah. They've given up something to be kind to us, and for me to overlook that that's a sin in my life.
Yeah.
For me not to take that as sacred,
Yeah.
because they didn't give it to Ken, they gave that to that message
Right.
that we do. Keep it simple, care about people, share with people. Let's see where it goes. Let's do a concert and see if anybody comes. I was just on the phone today with an artist and having conversations about what we want to provide for people in the future. And that's important for that artist to let me know that they're interested in that. And it's important to me to know that he has the kind of integrity that's going to search that out
Right.
and see what people in this Southern Illinois community, how they can be served better.
Well, and the Southern Illinois community and this market, when we come down to especially talking about concerts, is changing. It's evolving. You see the venue that you use primarily is busier all the time, bringing in bigger names all the time, and
Very
yet,
busy.
And yet there's still a very important place for the work that you all do and the concerts that you have there. I'm grateful, even for the artists themselves who come here and are able to experience what downtown Marion has become, what the Civic Center, what the venue itself is. I'm sure you've heard many of them that come for the first time that are they're a little blown away by what Marion has to offer, and no wonder so many of them want to come back, right?
Yeah. Hey, about the time I think we're going to have to wrap it up here in a second as the producer director. But one thing I want to remind everybody, if they want to listen to WBVN, they never have. It's at 104.5 FM, WBVN. They can listen online. I guess at WBVN.org as well. So that's the thing.
How do you know all of these things, Tom?
I don't know. It just rolls off the top of my head. I'm doing this in my sleep right now.
I knew Tom would make sure that we didn't get off without telling people how to find WBVN. I mean, it's
been there. It's great.
Highest recommendation, and you'll hear a very familiar voice when you go there too.
And what is your role?
Afternoons, 3 until 6. I've been
until
doing that 21 years.
Okay. And
On there 6 days a week.
Do you have a line that you always use?
No, see, Tom. See, that's just it. We were just talking about this. He's not a gimmicky guy. I was just thinking, Wolfman.
That's
Tom,
a long story.
Yeah.
Because he presented me when he came into my office the first time, and he did tell me he would like to work there, and I told him he did not want to work there because we don't have a weather forecast, we don't have a newscast, we don't have so many things that we don't have. Where he was from Memphis, he was used to the high quality.
Did he have dark glasses on and stuff? Is he coming in? Was kind of Hollywood when he walked
Well,
in?
and he went away, and he came back, and I said, Tom, there's no retirement here. There's no, there's no advantage for a guy with your skills to be here.
Was he using the word baby a lot when he was talking to you? Hey, don't worry about it, baby. I got a baby.
He finally convinced me that he could do this for the right purpose.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think.
And I think that was the key.
And it's the longest place I've ever worked in my life. I'm kind of like Ken, and I've worked in media all my life. You don't work anywhere that long, and but that's to me how special the relationship, the station is, what it mean. You see that what it means to the people. Again, like I said, again, how it's run, and it's run with integrity. And I work with people that have that same thought. We know what the mission is.
Well, I
we know
think
what we're doing.
that's another important part of it is that this doesn't work unless you have 8 or 9 people that are there. I don't have any full-time employees. Everybody just, Tom comes and goes. And, it's like the wind. Here he is. And
blows
there he
in,
isn't.
blows out.
And, and it's one of those things where we've had to have 8 or 9 people consistently be there to do this for the right reasons without expectations of anything other than they want to encourage the same community that I'm interested in encouraging.
Yeah.
That unity of purpose is everything.
And that makes them very special. 8 or 9 people.
Yeah.
I know you've had a lot of folks that have filled those roles over the years. Well, Tom, I know you well enough to know that you may be super professional and slick and impressive on the outside, but your heart perfectly matches this ministry, and I'm glad you guys made that.
Well, thank you. I thought he was going to say it was goofy. And that was,
Well, a little goofy too.
okay.
Hey, we're gonna have to go. This has been a nice conversation. Thanks again so much for coming by. We're gonna have to take you down to WBVN,
Yeah.
BVN sometime.
I'd love to see it.
And
it's interesting.
And
You get along well with Laura.
Oh, great.
yeah. Hey, thanks everybody. Tune in next time for Squared Up. And we got 2 weeks till the wedding as of this recording. Next time we come to you, it'll be getting close, and you tune in to see how scared we look at that point. We'll give you all the updates for Squared Up. I'm Bill Swinford.
And I'm Monica Daniels.
And I'm Tom Mann.
And thanks again, Ken, for joining us. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.